everyone, it's Sharana from Pay or Wait, and today I'm going to be reviewing News of the World, which hits theaters this Friday. This film is directed by Greengrass. It is based on the novel by Paulette Giles. It stars Tom Hanks, Helena Zingle, as we center around a Civil War veteran that agrees to deliver a girl who is taken by the Kiowa people to her aunt and uncle against her will. They travel hundreds of miles and face grave dangers as they search for a place that either of them can call home. So for those of you who are new to my channel, welcome, hello, so glad you came. I hope you stay. I tell you what I enjoyed about the film, what I didn't like about the film, and should you pay or wait to see this film in theaters, or also to when it hits VOD a couple of weeks later. So going into what I enjoyed about this film, I think News of the World is at its best when it focuses on the relationship between Captain Kidd and Joanna. As these two strangers come into contact with one another, as they get to learn more about one another, you can tell that these characters have a lot of secrets which aren't fleshed out throughout the course of the film, but you can tell that there's a spark there that really helps them gravitate towards each other and get to know one another as they embark on this journey, which is sometimes dangerous, you know, for him to deliver her, this young girl who has no one else left in the world, to her aunt and uncle. I think as they're getting to know one another, because there are language barriers, there's some very interesting moments that happen between them. And as they go through these trials and tribulations along their journey, they're brought closer together, and you're really rooting for them to survive, to really find a new world for both of them. Now, also, too, I really want to give props to Helena Zingle. I think she's absolutely fantastic as Joanna. I think that she matches the chemistry and the charisma that Tom Hanks brings to his character as well. But she has a lot to work with. There's not a lot that she can necessarily say because there is that initial language barrier. But I think that she does such a fantastic job with her presence on screen. And I really want to see more from her as well after this film. Now, Tom Hanks, he has this charisma. He's reading the news to everyone through these different towns that he goes through, but he does it with so much excitement that I was just like, you know what? I'm into this story too. I don't know what the heck is happening right now, but I want you to read the news to me, Tom Hanks, okay? But what I love about this notion of him going to these different towns, I love that it really shows where we were back then, when we didn't have mass transit, when we didn't have telephones, we didn't have news, radio. A lot of these towns, they lived in their own bubbles. They didn't know anything else that was happening outside of where they were. And there's a very interesting scene that happens in the film where you see the importance of people like him who to go and educate people on what is happening, you know, outside of where they're staying, and how that can really change people's lives. And really how oppression still continued to happen during that time because people didn't know how the world around them was evolving. And so I think it's interesting too with the set pieces that you see as we I love the set pieces that we see throughout the course of the film as they're traveling through Texas. They're traveling through, you know, a lot of what looks like to be, you know, deserts along the trails. I love the shots of the bison as we get to see them, what the world looked like back then. I think it's very fun to look at. There's also this cool sequence that happens as there's a natural kind of disaster that happens to them along their journey that puts them in danger as well. I thought that was really fun to look at. But there is a little bit of action. When I say a little bit, just a little like a little titch of action that happens. There's this cool gunfight that happens halfway through the film where it takes, you know, things open up a little bit. It gets a little bit more lively as we get into our kinds. Well, I'll talk about the slow pacing of the film. But there's some moments that kind of wake you up like, hey, we're going to give you a little bit of Western action that is happening throughout the course of the film. But going into the issues that I have with the film is it takes a lot of time for it to find its footing. The first hour of the movie, I was just like, hey, like, I want Joanna to find her way home, but where are we going with this film? Because I am not quite sure what is supposed to be happening right now. And I just felt like it was a little slow at times. It kind of took me out of it. I was just like, how much longer do we have before this movie is over? Because nothing is really happening on screen to really keep me engaged outside of just this interaction between the captain and Joanna. And I will have to say that it's a slow burn at times for me. It's just very slow paced, and it really takes a while for you to really understand where are we going, like what is the purpose of the story at hand that is happening on screen right now. And I really think that for me, because of that, and with the 2-hour runtime, for me, what I would tell you to do with you and your coins for News of the World is a wait for me. I wouldn't tell people to pay to go see this film in theaters. I think that if you're a huge Tom Hanks fan, or if you're a Paul Greengrass fan, but even if you're a Paul Greengrass fan, this really isn't his typical type of film. I would say maybe you could spend your money on VOD, and me personally, I don't even think that I would necessarily spend the money for VOD. I will wait for it to hit a streaming platform, wait for it to hit, once it comes on like cable TV. But yeah, that's just my thought. It's just a wait from you guys. I'm sorry, I love me some Tom Hanks, and I think the movie is fine, but it's nothing to say like, ooh, you gotta get out of your house and go to the theaters to see this one. It's just not that serious to me. But those are my thoughts on News of the World. As always, my name is Sharonda from Pay or Waits, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit the notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. And until I see you again, bye.